Check out my cool Avenue 6 TurboGrafx PC Engine awesome pad is what I like to call it. The awesome pad. Amico, bro, what's happening?
Amico, bro. How's it going, man?
Yeah,
Happy Wednesday, everybody, or as I like to call it, early Friday.
Ooh. So I thought, do I want a Faygo orange? I was like, that sounds delicious. This is one of my favorites. I was like, I have a red pop, icy cold.
Talking about that earlier, yeah.
And then I found this in the back of the fridge, and it's a original Neapolitan craft beer from Douglas, Michigan, Sawtucket Brewing. It's the flavors, 3 bites in every sip. It's the flavors of, I'm sorry, I was going to say orange, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry in every sip. And what's up, 68
Camaro? That, but it would at least be interesting. Hey, Cam.
Yeah, I'm about to.
There's PJ Smith.
PJ's in the house, also Silly Club member. Thank you. Oh man, I'm gonna cheers to you. Anyways, I know you were drinking the Kolsch, right?
Yeah, this is from Prost Brewing Company. It's kind of a local brewery here. They do German style beers.
Ooh,
this is a golden ale done German style called Kolsch.
Oh my god, that tastes like.
I like one or two of their beers, so I went ahead and got their sampler pack just to see everything else they have.
Yeah, I love doing the samplers because sometimes I can't especially on the thicker craft beers during the winter, like the stouts and even some of the different.
I'm a big porter and stout person, but they're pretty heavy. So
yeah, like I have to try them or do them in. What's up, NLG? Come on, everyone! The Sega CD needs more love. Oh yeah, I probably should have.
What is the poll? I didn't even pop out the chat to take a look at the poll today.
The chat poll is it is the best. What was the best Sega CD console? And this is totally a non-biased chat.
What was the best Sega CD console?
So it's Dreamcast.
There was only one Sega CD console. That was the Sega CD. How is this a poll? I'm confused.
Sega made the Dreamcast a CD-based console, the Saturn, which is a CD-based console, and the original Sega CD.
Okay.
So it's actually 3.
I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you were
the fourth option,
CD, and I'm like, I'm confused.
The
I've
fourth
not had
option,
that much to drink yet, and I'm already confused.
The fourth option, of course, non-bias, and I don't know who made the poll. But the fourth option is TurboGrafx CD is way better. Only 4% on that. I mean, I can't vote on my own poll.
What's up, Johnny?
Darn it, I gave it away. But anyways.
Moon Mist!
We're just talking about that. Nice. But yeah, so anyways, chat poll is up. Please make your votes for your favorite Sega. It looks like Dreamcast is running away with it. But boy, I got a plethora of flavors going on around here. Orange, strawberry, cherry, chocolate, vanilla.
What's up, Hasselhoff?
Hasselhoff in the house. Oh my god! The reason I was holding this up is we kind of had we had a bunch of topics and I put 3 on the thing. And anyways, we were kind of pre-talking in the chat before we started and with Joey Vibes and them and we were talking about the different controllers, and I was like, mine's the Avenue Pad 6. Because this was one of my favorite ways to play a lot of the Japan fighters that were on PC Engine, like some of the weird ones, as well as the great port of Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition. And this, obviously, you need a 6-button, and Turbo's a 2-button pad. So to see this with the 3 turbo switches, There's
fighting games on Turbo, you
awesome.
really would need a different controller. I have no idea. I've played fighters on 2-button controllers, like the Game Gear. I've played Mortal Kombat on that, and it's not the most fun experience. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm trying to do the shoulders or hit.
Thank you, Hasselhoff. Thank PJ Smith for that one. He's the one who gave me the idea on that one.
A true oddity.
It's really weird. Here's the one. Here's the main go-to that I have. This is the 8-bit.
Now that's cool.
These are really nice controllers for kind of like a modern and emulation enthusiast. Because you can map them for, like, you can map them for your iPhone, you can map them for your Android. It'll work on your PlayStation. It'll work on your I think it'll even work on your Xbox, but I never use it there. I've used it on my Switch. I've used it for like Pies and my Steam Deck and everything like that. It's so flexible. It's just kind of one of my go-tos, and I love the NES style D-pad, and this pretty much emulates that perfectly. So
that is cool. I like that. It's like a hybrid of like a Nintendo and a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. I have a couple variations on that. I have one that looks like a Super Nintendo pad that might be more credible for people, but I like these little extensions here, and it's got two. It's hard to see, but
you got triggers
here on the back that I never use. Like, they click in just fine. I just don't know how to map them on half the.
Oh no, you're right. They are different. So you got two shoulders, two triggers, and then two buttons underneath.
Yeah, they're supposed to act like the paddle buttons on the Xbox Elite controller or the PlayStation 5 Pro controller that they just came out with. And I use those all the time on my Xbox Elite controller. I love the paddles.
Literally just the Xbox controllers. Does mine have? No, I don't have. Well, mine's a third party, but it's I just have for my Xbox. I just got these.
Yeah. Well, see, the Xbox Elite controller tries to use these little paddle things. You see those?
Okay. Yeah. Well,
those map to the face buttons. So, like, if you're playing like an FPS or something like that.
Oh, so you can actually like hit it like
hands on the analog sticks, and you can hit the paddle buttons on the back.
Gotcha.
That way you don't have to reach over or anything like that. But I find I just use them more often than not. So, by the way, here's the SNES version of that.
I have that one. That's the.
And you have one like this, I believe.
I think I have that one. Man, I
haven't used the Amazon Fire controller. And I've heard mixed things about the Steam controller that went out of production, but they're talking about taking another crack at it. I've heard some people love it, and I've heard some people hate it. So it's kind of really all over the board.
How about this controller here? Joey says the Scuff controller.
I've not heard of the Scuff controller. And that one I've not seen either. What is that?
So look at this monstrosity.
Actually, looks like an RF blaster on the front of that thing.
It is. It's like it's got a normally they'll have like the I call it like the infrared or the red.
Yeah,
tint.
yeah.
Oh, this one is purple. This is like a royal purple.
And, I hate IR sound controllers, man. They're so wonky.
But so the dongle that plugs in. This is 3DO. This is for 3DO, dude. What's up, Blitzkrieg? And so it has like turbo switches, stuff like that. It sticks with the only thing I didn't like is it sticks like it has the 3 buttons, but for most 3DO games, unless they're fighting games, you don't really need. You can buy like the Capcom controller they used to sell, but it's so weird. It has like these grips that are like really little ridges here.
That doesn't seem very. Does that work well?
It works great. I was playing Road Rash yesterday, and it's a very well built. They're called docks, and they're a wireless controller.
TJ, VCS 800 controllers have so many buttons. I'm an old man. Too many buttons.
Yeah, right. It's just once you get past
we
3,
all feel that way sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, once you get past 3 buttons on a controller, you wouldn't want any other ones. I mean, you'd love like 16 buttons. That's probably the best. Anyways.
Hey, Salvatore, good to see you.
Love me some Saturn. Yeah, I'm surprised the Saturn's not seeing more love. We'll see. I think it's going to be between those two.
That's docks really is good for the really 3DO because it's a wireless controller. But didn't a 3DO do some sort of weird daisy chain thing?
So that's what it was. If you had a regular, well, this is not a 3DO controller, but where is it doesn't matter. But anyway, so yeah, you'd have a plug on the top. So
yeah, you plug the other controller.
To be honest, it was pretty genius because you only had one long cord coming from your console. When back in the day there was barely any wireless, everything was wired. So instead of having like 4 cords, you had one, and you just daisy chain off the person next to you. So you could all sit on the couch and there'd be no cords across the floor.
Indy, I will give Mad Cat some props. I had a and I
I
need to
remember
repair it.
those.
I had a Street Fighter 2 Tournament Edition arcade stick that I eventually wore out. That was amazing. That thing was phenomenal.
Fighter
And that's by
NES
Mad
controller.
Cats.
Oh, dude, I have a. Actually, I don't remember if it's an NES controller. Mine might be Super Nintendo, but I have one that's like, is it the one that's shaped like this and then it angles down like that, and it's got the joystick in the center and the buttons on each side? Because it's like a third party, and I have it upstairs.
I
If
don't think
that's
I've
the
ever
one
seen
he's
that one
talking
before.
about,
Are you talking about
I'll go
arcade
grab
sticks
it.
now? Is that what you're talking about? Like arcade sticks?
No, this is before they made that type of stuff.
Oh,
This
okay.
was like for Nintendo or Super Nintendo only.
Well, Nintendo had an arcade stick from very early on with the NES Advantage. That was an
The Advantage,
stick.
but that was still set up
Yeah.
with 2 buttons. This one has
it
like
was just 2 buttons.
Hasselhoff, let me know in the what I was going to say. Let me know in the chat. I mean, let me know here which one that is. If it's the one what it looked like, because if it's the one that's like this and then it has the 2 sides that angle. Oh, good. Okay. Because I have one upstairs and I'll literally go up and grab it if it's that one, because I've held on to it forever. I went to trade it in at a game store, like a replay center up here, and they wouldn't take it. But that was probably because I'd never seen it. It's a very rare. I can't remember if it's Super Nintendo or regular Nintendo. I've had it for over a decade, so I don't remember. I got it like in a trade and a lot of games.
You would think somebody would jump at the chance for that because it's kind of like a rare piece, right?
And it definitely is. I've never seen it
price
anywhere.
for it, just because not very many people have it.
It's not angled. I'll send you the okay. Yeah, let me know, man. Like, cause I really let me pull up I'll check my Discord really quick. Yeah, because I might have that one because there wasn't too many third parties made on that. If it was third party,
the NES wasn't as big on third party controllers as the Super Nintendo Ford was. Mad Cat started really kind of pushing their marketing and their controllers more in the 90s, if I recall, than anything else. They were around for a lot longer. I mean,
the Mad Cats I remember mostly with original Xbox. I went through so many controllers though.
I think they've been around since like
GameStop.
1983. If
Mad Cat's brand?
No, that's Hori. I'm sorry, that's not Mad Cats.
Oh yeah, Hori too.
Hori's been around since like
Mad
Hori
Cats
makes really good third party stuff.
Hori was a higher quality.
Amazing.
Yeah, Mad Cats to me back in the Xbox, PlayStation style days, it was like my controller just broke. I don't want to spend $50 on a new one, but look at $19.99 gets me the neon clear case.
I've got some Mad Cats
with the rubber grips
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're okay in a pinch. They're never the greatest thing. Now that arcade stick I've got by them is an exception. That thing's exceptional quality. It's really good.
Indie Racing, I think you're talking about the Advantage. Like
that's the Advantage.
Because the one I have has, I think it literally has suction cups on the bottom. You know what? I'm going to go grab it. It's going to take me 2 seconds, guys.
Yeah, I think the one he's talking about, though, is the Advantage, because that had a metal plate on the bottom. It was fairly heavy. I think it had a turbo option on it, and it was just 2 buttons.
Yeah, I'm going to see this. This one is like, I think is third party, but it is for Nintendo. So let me grab it.
I could see liking Mad Cats because they make them small, and they're pretty durable and like really cheap to replace, assuming you need to replace one. Which, given it's Mad Cats, you're probably going to break it, or you're going to hand it to somebody who doesn't care about your stuff, because that's what I usually do with Mad Cats controllers, and they're going to break it. Okay. Well, he's taking off, Hasselhoff. We'll have to look at that when he comes back. As he disappears, leaving me here. Dedicated to making cases for other companies. I don't know about that. They did a couple of interesting things, but overall, I didn't even think their shell quality was as good as some of the others. They made a pretty interesting gaming mouse at one point. It was, I think they called it a rat, and it was really like adjustable in crazy ways, so it would fit almost anybody's hand. Singing, I think we're unknown now. I don't want a copyright strike now. Invoked Jumpman. Wait a minute. Why are we talking about a Jumpman? Think over. Starring Nick. Yes. Yes, I finally have the show to myself. Victory. Nervous having to babysit all of us. No. I have cats and dogs. It's already mass hysteria at my house. You guys are no different. I have taken over. Yes, it's finally happened. Nick forever. That might be the case. If he doesn't come back, I can't actually end the stream. It's a 24-hour stream of me because I have no button to end the stream.
Sorry, guys. God. I was like, where did it go? I must have misplaced it.
I'm just sitting here. Everybody's going, it's now Nick forever. Nick doing a 24-hour stream. I'm like, that may be more accurate than you know. If he doesn't come back, I can't actually end the stream.
Oh my God, this has been wound around this joystick for.
Oh my God, I can't believe you wind that way. Oh, you're the worst.
Well, I think that's what the store did when they gave it back to me. So it is NES.
You need to check your Discord for the link that Hasselhoff sent you. Okay, that looks like it was just designed to be ambidextrous.
This was made by Beeshu. Beesue. And there's that a piece of gum on it? And there's a piece of gum on the back of it for some reason.
Awesome.
But look at this.
And Luke is like, that cord is now destroyed.
Yeah, it's now like the Intellivision. It looks
like an old telephone cord.
But listen to that.
What's up?
Listen to those micro switches. But yeah, you had so right or left, and then it had your suction cups on the back.
Yeah, see, that looks like they were trying to basically make an ambidextrous controller.
Hey! Oh!
There's Rab.
Am I here? Am I not? Am I welcome?
Do
I gotta go?
What's up, Chris?
He just ran upstairs and abandoned me to the whole crowd.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was fine. They treated me like the.
What is that thing? I don't know.
It happens.
It's called Dial-A-Speed Ultimate Controller by Beeshu. Super Stick, the ultimate super stick, has slow motion, select and start. I'm going to check. Let me check Discord really quick.
I haven't been able to do a sound check. How's my sound? Okay.
Your sound's fine. Yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
I see. Okay, so the one that Hasselhoff was looking at is called the Fighter's Stick, and it almost looks like the one you had with the 8-bit dough, Nick, but except it's just 2 buttons instead of 4.
Okay.
It's still got 2 analog sticks and everything. It would take, me, it'll take me forever to try to pop it up on the thing, but is that I'll be showing the whole Discord.
All you have to do is
I do that every time I appear.
Particular window.
Oh, Indie Racing Nut was wanting about
It's gonna come up.
I heard it's gonna be a launch title, and that is a fact. Along with its sequel, Cat Fighter 2, Capnip Edition.
See, then I immediately need an arcade stick. I don't do fighters without an arcade stick anymore.
Never been a fan of joysticks with suction cups. But have you used a joystick? Because once you use suction cups, you'll want it on everything. I put them on my Xbox controllers, on my NES controllers. I just found that right stick on eBay for $8.95. Oh, you talking about this one? Maybe so. It must not be that rare, or it must be like cheap. I've never even used it, but I wouldn't mind playing a. I don't know what I'd play on a joystick on NES. Any NES game, I'm going to want the regular controller.
They had 1 or 2 fighters on there. The Mutant Ninja Turtles tournament fighter actually hit on NES. I mean, it's pretty limited, but I mean, you could use that for it. And there were a bunch of shooters and stuff like that. And a lot of people prefer arcade sticks for shoot 'em ups.
So chat, what do you guys, do you remember any other NES third-party controllers besides my crazy Beeshu Ultimate Dial-A-Speed stick? Oh, that's a deodorant.
I don't know about third party. I mean, the Advantage comes to mind.
I remember the NES
Max comes to mind.
Acclaim and ASCII made some third-party controllers as well.
Yep, ASCII. I think I had Ask.
I
I mean, there
love
was
them.
the laser scope. I want to say Konami dipped their toe in to make that thing, but
Yeah.
that was more of a light
I was-
gun than an arc.
I was
than a
always just the
controller.
classic controller. Like when it came down to it, the only time I switched was playing Ghostbusters to climb the 22 flights of stairs. I'd get an NES Max, and I didn't necessarily like the thumb, like the random thumb joystick kind of thing, but I would use the outer rim as a D-pad kind of to climb the steps. But I just used it for turbo, to be honest.
I was about to say, we're using it for the turbo because if you
Oh,
had to
the
press
NES
left and right on that, that sounds terrible.
The NES Max, I just traded mine in too with my top-loaded Nintendo because I have two other Nintendo.
Cat Fighter 2. This time it's for real.
John, see, John knows.
Hey, John.
There you go, confirmed. Not at all. Just made
We're
that
already
up.
talking about the sequel to Cat Fighter. Guaranteed hit, instant
This
collection.
time it's for real.
Cat Fighter 2.5 reclawed.
Yeah. They thought he'd never have scratch a thing again. They took his claws, but now this time it's personal. He's got him back. And they're all robotic.
Can he escape the
all bionic
C-1000? We'll find out.
I don't know about you two.
That's great. Oh, that's great. So I'm glad Rab showed up because
Me too.
I knew he was. That was weird. Anyways, well, I was just trying to transition into this part right here, which is License to Change and Drive Again. Remember License to Drive? Remember the 80s movie? Anyways.
Yes. Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. Was it Mercedes?
Okay,
Was the
now
name
I
of the
know what you're
girl?
talking about. Wow. Okay, your topic headers need work. Because I'm like, wait a minute, we talked
Yeah,
about
what is
I
this?
was trying to do
That was
puns.
nothing.
I was trying to do puns. It was just a pun. The main topic was what Rab was asking about was
I'm either too drunk or not drunk enough to understand the topic headers.
I don't mind the puns, but this is the first time we're seeing them, so we're like, what? Are we
yeah,
talking
so
about?
they're like, I should not be in charge of that. But anyways, it's talking about game licenses, and this was a great thing that you brought up, which was a game license that came out. Maybe it did like okay, but it never had a sequel, never did really, or it did fair, or it bombed, but maybe it wasn't given a chance. And in retrospect, you went back and played, and it was a really good game, and maybe deserved another chance or a second chance to drive again and change the world.
Or it wasn't it never became a license. It was a popular or an interesting IP that, you know, the world of movies and cartoons and music and TV shows, we had so many interesting premises that I think just never made the jump to video games. In the 80s, I mean, you can understand why there was like limitations in the 70s and early 80s, and then, you know, you had a lot of licenses coming on in the late 80s and early 90s. You had Three Stooges, and you had Felix the Cat, and a bunch of like old, inexpensive licenses coming, and then a couple of ones that were like really big ones. But you know, some of those ones, like, you know, we never saw a Thundercats title in the US. We never saw a lot of big titles. So I was just curious what the chat's sort of favorites that they didn't see or that they saw, but they were like, this is it. This is a game. Like, I deserve so much more, and what their thoughts on some of those were.
Now,
so
for me, back in the day, I know it's actually a thing. Literally this year, it came out, or late last year, which was the Garbage Pail Kids game. Why would we never have a Garbage Pail Kids game? That was like the epitome of the 80s, you know, at least one of them, you know, and you'd think, I mean, they had Cabbage Patch this, that. They even had video games of Cabbage Patch Kids. But
wasn't Garbage Pail Kids a direct response to Cabbage Patch Dolls?
Oh, well, it was. Now it's been around longer, I think, than... Well, are they still even make... Coleco sold that license to someone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think Hasbro picked up all the Coleco stuff. For like
did they?
Silverhawks would make like a good like.
Dude, that's a great.
Like,
Silverhawks.
I always think of like He-Man and Thundercats as more like beat 'em ups or platformers. Like Thundercats, particularly with Lion-O's like Claw and like Chitara's Speed. And all
Chitara's Speed.
Do a really cool platformer style.
I got to get that, Luke.
Those. See, I need to pick it up. I haven't picked it up yet. I mentioned it to you, Chuck, because I knew you were huge into Garbage.
I am going to get it I'm going to try to pre-order it if I can catch it in time. I'm waiting on some funds for that because if I'm going to get it, I'm getting the whole collector piece.
Well, and I think if you get a physical copy of it, they give you the digital copy on Steam.
Yeah.
Or just add it in.
Yeah, and then they have the one that's got the bubblegum one and the green. It's either I think it's blue and green or green and pink. What are the stale gum and slime gum or something like that?
See, I could kind of see GoBots, but we already have some Transformers games, and some of them.
There you go.
I feel like Transformers needs, like, War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. I thought were good titles. They weren't great titles, but they were good titles.
Speed Racer.
I thought Transformers Destruction was pretty good, but got pretty monotonous. I feel like somebody needs to put some real thought into like a transforming robot.
Collect bonus gems.
Dude, I have a Speed Racer
story that plays like Zelda. I could see that. See, I thought Hellraiser and Nightmare on Elm Street need to be revisited.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, especially seeing what they did with the update to Friday the 13th.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, you already have that character based in Scarecrow,
and that was that was an LGN game, wasn't it?
Do what?
Nightmare on Elm Street. That was an LGN game.
It was. Yes.
Yes,
it was.
I thought that one was pretty good. I mean, LGN gets a lot.
Very good.
No, I mean it wasn't a bad game. I'm just thinking.
Have you played it 4 players?
With it
4-player version of that.
That it would be really cool.
Oh, it's one of the best. It's just so hard to find 4 people, and you have to have the NES satellite to play.
Yeah, you need to have which I have
someplace.
The 4-player tap or whatever it's called on top of the NES and then the card.
The satellite. Yep. Yeah. It's like their tap, like a turbo tap would be for NES.
Although now with with as advanced as the computer is, that the computer can play as the other players and you're good to go. So something like Voltron, I saw kind of come up. Yeah. I thought that's something
Voltron
I noted
would be fun.
I had about 15 or so titles that I had jotted down that I just thought would be like interesting things to get people's thoughts on if we want to hop on some of those. But right now the chat's got a ton of interesting stuff. Batteries. Yeah. Oh, I thought this battery's not included.
And see, I think revisiting stuff like Godzilla, especially in something like VR, could be a lot of fun.
You know,
being able to run around as Godzilla in VR would just be a blast, or even King Kong.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm pulling up. Hasselhoff wanted me to pull up that control.
Yeah, I thought didn't you look at it, but I don't think you never brought it up on screen. But I thought
because I said it's going to take me forever because you know how I am with tech stuff.
Hey, so Michael Hayes.
I am trying my. What's going on, Michael? I am trying that right now.
You know, an old title that I think would be really good to see something, especially after seeing the new Link's Awakening done with that like Rankin and Bass toy style. I was thinking the Clash of the Titans. There's like a stop motion.
I'd watch that.
That's something that would be really expensive as a film, but video games is such an interesting medium, and I think that whole Greek mythology just lends itself to a lot of exploration. Same things for something like 1001 Arabian Nights. You've just got so many opportunities with.
I've been a proponent for He-Man as well, Indy. I would like to see He-Man revisited.
Yes.
There's been a couple of fan games where they've done like some beat 'em ups and stuff like that. There's been a couple of things on being on a train as he picks it up, stuff like that. Yeah, or having one person play Godzilla and having other people try to play survivors and get away. That would be great. That'd be fun stuff, man, especially in VR.
Yeah, dude, I can't get it to show up just a picture. I'd have to throw it through editing software to get it up. It lets me do video clips, but it's not a video clip. So,
what is it you sent you?
It's a picture of something, but it's like I saved it to computer, but where I'm at and in StreamYard right now, it's not anything I have to prepare.
Can you send me the link?
It's in Discord. Yeah, let me just send it in Discord.
Send me the link. I think he sent it directly to you.
He did. I'm going to send it to you in Discord. Because I can pull it up and save it, but I don't have the means to like do it right now in the control room I'm in.
Yes. Hammurabi was one of the first games I played when I was learning to read. It was a lot of I mean, it was all simulation, but just that whole theme. There's so much, I think, like the Arabian themed or the Babylonian or Iranian themed. You know, there's a lot of cultural directions I think gaming could go that I'd love to see some diversity there.
I think if you start going to like books, stuff from like Dragonlance or Dune, Dune in particular could make some. They've done some RTSs on it, but I don't think they've ever done anything past like an RTS.
there was a movie that was based on a book series. I think it was called like Mortal Machines, which was basically like roving, praying cities, like
Oh,
gigantic
I've seen that. Yeah,
cities.
yeah. That it
The
came out like
movie, the
5,
movie
6 years
bombed.
ago, something like that.
The movie bombed, but the book series is really popular. And
The
if you think about it,
concept's great.
it's conceptually it's a video game. I mean, you think about all these like strategy SimCity builders where you're building your city and then you go and you like, consume other people's cities or go get resources or go customize your city to do,
like a Utopia style, but maybe newer.
Yeah, but it's like Utopia meets Mad Max meets like the Thunderdome from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just like a roving machine of death that goes around eating other cities.
So this is what Hasselhoff was talking about. Like I said, it kind of looks like your 8-bit dough wired, but with 2 buttons.
It's only got like 2
buttons.
buttons.
The analogs.
Yeah.
And what is this?
We were talking about the controllers earlier. This Hasselhoff just sent
favorite third-party controllers.
Yeah. It's a Retro Fighters is what that looks like.
Yeah, it's Fighters.
Yeah.
I think that's what it says. Fighters controller, Retro Fighters.
It's a solid looking D-pad.
Yeah, it's actually not. I mean, for an NES to look like that, I'd say that's pretty cool.
They've done something similar, Paradox, with the Mad Max survival game. They've done
looks
like
a lot
an
like a Pro
game
controller.
like that. I want to say on the PS4 era. I want to say it was like part Rage, part survival. If you know the reference to like Rage.
I'm sure I've seen it because I've seen a lot of cheesy movies. The name is familiar, but no, I'm not like.
Rage is a video game. It was a video game series.
Oh, I'm talking about Ace Hunter.
Oh, Ace Hunter. Okay.
Ace Hunter. Now, so for me, this one was I have 4 different ones from 4 different systems, but the first one I think that came out, and it used to be an arcade game. That once again, this did come out as a game, but I do have a few that are like that for that I think deserved more chance, and that's Kadash.
Kadash had a couple examples. Wasn't that on the Genesis as well?
It was on the Sega Genesis. It wasn't the full version, but it was still nice. It was really a good version, but it had only I think 2 playable characters. This one has all 4 like the arcade, and it was originally released in the arcade. But other than the ports, like I'm really surprised that this didn't take off like a Zelda series. I mean, I know it was because it was more, it was like adventure grinding.
I don't think it got the push, and the fact that it looked like
didn't,
a side-scrolling action game rather than an RPG. I think also kind of hurt it a little.
It looked like a side scroller. I remember seeing that in the magazines and thinking like I really wanted to turn.
But you had to use inventory, to heal yourself. You use magic potions.
But if you were just to pick up and start playing the game, the first 5-10 minutes of it, you would think it's a side-scrolling action adventure game.
Yeah, and then it's more
odd skill sets with odd weapons that don't necessarily work all that great. It gets better the deeper you get. But the story takes a lot of getting used to. You really got to kind of lean into it for a bit.
The story I always thought was great, just the different things, and you beat a boss and usually meet another person, then you find out this person in the village. It like I mean, I'm not spoilers. It's only been like 40 years or whatever, but they did like the one thing was like you need to find my adopted daughter. We rescued her. She's been kidnapped by the giant Kraken. Well, you defeat the Kraken. Turns out the girl that's up on the stake falls into the water. She turns into a mermaid. She goes, "This is my secret. I'm going to go in peace. Don't tell anybody." But she goes, "But I'll give you scales of the mermaid. You will be able to survive underwater, swim in water." And I just thought that the whole style of that story was cool. Once again, a 16-bitter, but it's really good. And I gotta say this one too while we're in 16-bit, and then I'll turn it over to someone else. And in the chat too, please tell us like your ones that did become games that you might have thought needed another push. But this a big license, a big IP. But it was the only one of its kind that was made, and that's Donald Duck's Quackshot on the Sega Genesis.
That Quackshot was great.
I thought it was too. Never made a sequel. Never made it as a series. I think this should have been
a lot of games like that, man. Like
I absolutely adore this game.
Is DuckTales, and I don't even think Darkwing got a sequel. And I thought that was like a pretty.
No, that was a really nice looking game. But it was like a one-off. I mean, they did
they had that on the Turbo as well. I don't know
Dawn
if the
Quackers and stuff
good,
that came out later with Donald Duck, but they never revisited Quackshot.
Yeah, Quackshot was. I don't know. I just love it. Just the music itself was amazing, but I just love the concept of the plunger gun. You got the plungers that stuck to walls. You could climb on those ladders. You had the plungers that you could shoot enemies with. You had the. I just love that, and the levels are drawn really good. Obviously, it's a Disney license, so it's really you got those characters, but the levels seemed challenging, sometimes surprising, but all at the same time they weren't like super. It wasn't impossible to beat, and it was just fun. I could play through it just to have fun.
Yeah, my main issue
Guardian Legend for NES
shot is one, it's a lot harder than it first appears, and two, there's a lot of back and forth, and not understanding you need to go back to certain areas and then come back. It's a little fuzzy sometimes. And somebody mentioned, I think it's Luke mentioned Little Samson. I haven't played that. That's like that's like an NES darling that everybody missed. That's apparently amazing that I haven't
like
had
a 94 or 95 game, so it came out at the end at a really low print run, so there's not that many of them. So it's a fortune. Yeah, you're talking about those characters. Well, Mickey Mouse is going in the public domain, so he's going to be accessible.
Is that going to happen? Like, are they going to let that happen?
No,
I didn't think they would.
They'll never let that happen, dude.
Disney's using trademark and everything, so he's going to be inaccessible. I mean, that's why we see like the little Steamboat Willie skit and stuff, and we've got all of these old characters kind of popping up again. They want to show they're still in use and just use trademark to go after that licensing rights.
Oh, dude, Sneed. Dude, you hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah, a lot of
I think we were talking about this last week, too. Solomon's Key is an amazing game, sort of a puzzle, find the exit, jump. It's just having just the one screen kind of solve this screen, move on to the next level. Solve the room, thank you. Like stuff like that even got more advanced when you had stuff like some of the first Tomb Raiders were kind of like that too, but I want to say like the Oddworld, the very first, not Abe's, well, they all were kind of that way, but the very first
PlayStation,
PlayStation 1, yeah. That one, that was Abe's Odyssey, right? Not the Exodus. That was the second one.
I think another one I'd like to see.
Anyways, they were great.
Legends. Because I played the heck out of that in the arcade, and seeing that come back with like online co-op would be a lot of fun.
What was it called? You said
Legends.
I'll be right back.
Oh man, see, Dark Legacy was one of my favorites.
Yeah, seeing stuff like that come back with like 4-player online play and that kind of stuff would be a lot of fun. That kind of like cooperative, because it's in the beat 'em up genre, but you do a lot more verticality in stages and things like that. What's up, Scepter? And since we're kind of in the middle of like a beat 'em up renaissance of a sorts, where there's been a bunch of them coming out, I feel like that now is a kind of a good time to like strike on something like that again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Do you guys see any of the first person games, like early ones? Obviously, there's a million of them now, but when that was starting, like during the 32-bit era, beginning the 32-bit era, I thought there was a lot of first person games that. There's one I'm going to mention. Obviously, you might know what it is because I've already done like a whole thing on it. But I think there's a lot of titles that a lot of people thought they were trying to be Doom, but they had a lot of charm and had their own thing going on. The fact they were using that first person shooter technology, which is now kind of a staple in a lot of games, a lot of games. But I'm talking about this, which was PO'd. Where you played the chef.
I saw you playing that the other day. I never tried that one personally, but then I didn't have a 3DS.
All the levels are vertical, so you're literally flying through these 3D vertical levels with different platforms with a jetpack on. But you could also drop down to those levels, and you're running around with an arsenal of guns, silly drills, and a frying pan, and weird.
See, all the ones that I played that were FPSs from that era are currently.
Dude, Michael, yes. Yes, Space Hulk.
Space Hulk was. I couldn't get into that one because I tried that and it was so clunky.
I think you're muted, Rab. You there?
Of course, I'm here. I just didn't have anything to say.
There he is. Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were.
I think I tried Space Hulk. Wasn't it? It's loosely based on like Warhammer or something like that. A little bit.
It was. I know it. Wasn't it like a?
Or it might have been a Warhammer one.
Almost like a Dungeons and Dragons, but obviously space based. I used to have the 3DO Space Hulk. It was hard, and you had to know what you were doing, but the graphics look sweet. But yeah, that's a great one.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's
I've heard of it, but I never really dug too deep into it. But then the 3DO library, I haven't dug too deep into.
well, it was also on PlayStation 1 as well, and I think it came out on one other system, and I believe there was a sequel on something along the way after, like maybe 360 or something, or PS2 or something like that. But the main thing I remember was 3DO and PC. I think those were the first two things that came out on. But yeah, it was called like
another thing I'd like to see somebody take some more solid shots at, because they always seem to miss the mark, or they never seem to take off or really nail it quite right, is Warhammer 40K. Like, it's not like there's been a huge shortage of games. They come out with a game like every couple of years that's based on the Warhammer universe, but usually they try to do like an RTS or something like that doesn't work quite as well.
Yeah, they struggled for a number of years with the classic Warhammer as well.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. Yeah. I mean, that's a great license for them to go after.
Warhammer has a ton of really interesting lore, and even in the fantasy setting, I prefer 40K if you're going to do anything with it, because I think the space motif is just more interesting, personally. What's up, Fastback?
Fastback! Amico forever! Hey, so speaking of years, see how I just pulled that one word out? I'm getting better. Silver Surfer finally being done right. Hey, why not? Right?
If you talk right, to half the people that I know, they say it's already done right, and you're playing it wrong. I wouldn't know because I stink at it.
30 years of what's up, amused one? What if it's possible to get my almost 30 years of my life back from Blizzard? So speaking of
particularly if you got
updated Flash Gordon.
Speaking of,
you know what I'd actually like to see revisited, and I'm hoping Microsoft will finally do it.
Hold your ears.
Back in the 90s, they talked about doing StarCraft Ghost, where you played a ghost agent, basically doing a bunch of infiltration stuff, going into like Zerg hives. You're going to be doing like Confederacy assaults and stuff like that. And I thought it was a brilliant idea for like almost a Splinter Cells, stealth action kind of game. I would love to see something like that finally come to fruition.
Be neat. Did you guys see the new I think it was Mike from NLG was playing it, the N64 version of GoldenEye, but it was re-released on modern consoles.
I haven't tried it yet. Apparently it's on Game Pass.
It looked great.
I just haven't tried it.
It's on Game Pass, it's on Switch.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they do that?
My concern is I'll hate it because I was never a big fan of single analog controls, which is why I didn't do a lot of FPSs on the N64 to begin with, outside of Turok, that let me look around with the C buttons and move with the analog stick, which fixed a lot of my complaints there.
Dude, John's in the line at In-N-Out. It just makes me hungry right now. In-N-Out is so great, man.
In-N-Out's line is always ridiculous. No matter what.
Tommy Burger is good too with the chili. Makes me crave California. I need to come back and
they actually have In-N-Out Burger in Colorado now.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And
they're just a good burger. Everything's fresh.
It's okay. It's okay.
I had friends who were dying to take me there, and I'm vegetarian, so I'm like, I have the fries. I'm good.
Well, you could get.
I'm not even sure if they do.
The fries would be worth it, to be honest.
I was about to say, no. They won't.
You can get like your cuddle with an animal style.
Oh, updated for Xbox, can be remapped for Switch is what.
Okay, so you can actually use dual analog then. That would be great. Because if you can use dual analog, I'm totally in for playing it. I don't care if it looks rough around the edges. All the N64 stuff does.
Yeah.
If you go back and play the N64, it is a product of its time. You have to take it in the context of things moving into 3D. If you accept that and lean into that, the games are fine. But you have to accept that.
Yeah, there were massive.
Yeah, I think
they had massive trade-offs to put the number of polygons they could on the screen and draw distance of 2 feet. So.
Like the controls of Turok. Oh, I love that. I had Turok too.
Had the best FPS controls, and I would really like to see the original Turok re-released.
Ooh, Whataburger
with those controls.
That's good too.
I think they tried to remaster that a while back, but I don't know how well it did.
Well, they've done a lot of things through the years, and speaking of years,
here we go.
People have collected things over the years, and we've asked some of our chat to send us some pictures. And we've got some doozies. We got some good ones. So let's pop them up here. Hopefully, I believe we can hear each other while we're going.
Wow, that is a well-loved Game
Dude.
Boy.
So Amico, bro, he sent me a message. He's telling me he bought this in Japan, and it's got some play. A Game Boy Light. It's got a little turquoise thing on the screen there. Look at that. If that's the original screen, God bless that machine, dude. Okay, Joey Vibes here sent in his collection. Look at these Atari and Intellivision.
What is Halo 2600? I'm very confused right now.
They did a Halo version for 2600, or either that or
Ed Fry.
let us know in the Joey, because I know you're in the chat. I can't remember
if that was amazing.
If that was just a box mock-up or they actually.
And you get some love from me anytime you've got some like G.I. Joe going on in there.
Right, and look at Kangaroo.
NES too.
Excuse me, Trick Shot, Frostbite, an Activision game, dude. That is cool. Couple different river raids.
It's got a couple of variations.
Intellavania, Castlevania.
I love the box art for Intellavania. That's amazing.
So good. Worm Whomper and Body Slam, the two I need. I definitely need those. I love the cover art of Body Slam. It's like, it's so cool. M Network for Atari. I recently picked these 4 up too. Lock and Chase, Armor Ambush, Space Attack, and Astro Blast. Yeah, I got that.
Oddly, Lock and Chase kind of holds up. I played that on the arcade.
The Commodore. The Commodore 64. Now, this is a serious gamer. He's got the Commodore 64 lined up here.
Yeah, keeping a Commodore 64.
Gauntlet on the floppy disk. Dude, Gauntlet on the floppy disk. Oh, it's a Berserk mod, but it's a real game. Okay, so it is a real game. Oh.
Yellow Warrior needs reboot.
You can't shoot other players yet.
I'll be honest, that looks pretty good.
Don't shoot.
That looks great.
Food. Yeah, dude. Oh, and then the classic. I love the game drawer. I think all of us at one point.
I love the fact he's got like basically the little rollout tray thing that he's using.
Dude, I had the same thing. And then Cameron here sent this Ultimate Shooter. I need to pick this up because I do collect Wii games. And this has got 3 different shooters on it. If I can read this, it's darn it, I can't read that.
Radio Allergy. Can
you see that?
Chaos
Field, Karis, Radio Allergy. Oh, and drop.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a Ultimate Collection on the Wii, and I thought that looked really, really cool.
The Wii had a surprising amount of good stuff on it. You just had to wade through all the shovelware that got dumped on it. But you had to do the same thing with the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
They dumped so much garbage on that system because it was popular.
Anything that sold well. The DS, the Wii, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation.
The DS, the 3DS, they all had a bunch of garbage on them because they were super popular systems. And anytime you have a system that's that popular,
there's a good
it's going to get garbage.
300 or so Wii games that I adore. I mean,
they're a great system too.
I know there's a lot of shovelware, but there's a lot of good concepts on there and good efforts. Not all executed well, but a lot of games have their flaws and hiccups, and you learn to get over some of them. Yeah,
that was from UFO Interactive. Apparently they did, because I love shooters like Blazing Laser styled, Truxton, any of those Superstar Star Soldier. I love a lot of the Japan shooters like for PC Engine. I know there's some good ones on Saturn, which when I get into that, I'll eventually get into the Saturn, which I've never been experienced in my life, to be honest, other than seeing people play, and I've seen it, but I've never owned one or got this chance to sit on and play one. But that's coming up next after I do my 3DO and Atari stuff this year.
There's a lot of good ones on the NES too.
Yeah, the virtual
NES for shooters. While I'm really struggling to fall back in love with it, Life Force is reputed as being an amazing shooter, and I'm really like, even stage 1 on the game is just like a nightmare for me.
No, you can use the Konami code on that as well.
I can't get it to work. It goes off the start screen too quick for me to enter it, and I can't get it to kick off.
You just got to like up, down, on, left, right, BA select start, or BA start.
It's select start.
I used to always do 2 players.
Yeah.
But which goes into it doesn't really go into our next topic, but we are going to get into our next topic. It is our third of the night. Who said we couldn't fit 3 in there? And it's Spyro needs more love. There you go. Yeah, I know. Well, what happened?
I think Brad would prefer we didn't fit 3 or 4 big.
We started.
We can spend more time talking on them. But
we started the whole thing, and people were already just talking controllers before the show even started. So I was like, well, I guess we need to bring that one up first.
I
which
always want to
wasn't.
spend more time talking with them, and the chat is like, we want red cards to throw out with like, Rab, shut up, next topic.
But Croc needs love. Croc. So, anyways,
Croc was a good game.
do characters
I never played
make
Croc.
game?
Gex, I played a little bit of Gex, and Gex is I don't know about the personality character, but the gameplay was amazing. I thought
gameplay's great.
It gets annoying. The walls and everything like that, really creative and fun.
And so many elements of Croc. I mean, that kind of found its way into Super Mario 64, right?
Didn't that start its life when they were trying to like do a Yoshi game or something like that, and it fell through? So they changed it to Croc.
Yeah, and I think they like used some elements of it for Mario 64 for the launch game, and then they went and they decided to make their own character.
Yeah, I would like to see Voodoo Vince get some more love. But to the topic, do characters make the game? In a way, yes.
Psychonauts, yeah.
And especially when you go back to like the more iconic, like Sonic, Mario, Rystar, those kinds of things, where you had the mascot era.
Yeah.
Which I still need to do. I still need to do a video on that because it'd be a really fun video to build. Hey, Seki, love you.
Don't just leave it like smash.
Looking at the mascot era, absolutely. The personality of the character, the villains that you make for him, they kind of have to have a certain kind of feel and vibe. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how good the stage design is; it just doesn't gel. Yeah. I don't think. Now, if you're looking at something like Master Chief and stuff like that, yeah, he's got an iconic look, but it could have been the first 3 games almost, you could have done anything with that, and it wouldn't have mattered, right? So
I think that happens a lot. I think that happens in a lot, like you're saying with I'll piggyback off, then we'll go right to Rab, because I don't have too much to say on this, but I did want to know what chat wanted, and you guys think of this is okay. So say, like you said, Master Chief, like he could have been anybody. He could have been Conan the Barbarian looking, and with the space helmet. It wouldn't have mattered because the gameplay, it was all about how great the gameplay and the story were.
Right.
Once again, though, but if you do take that back to the mascot era, what if Rystar, the character, was in Sonic and he's the one going super speed and getting all the rings? Would it have mattered because the gameplay was so revolutionary and fast and quick, and in the graphics and the story and everything?
I think it does matter because Rystar doesn't fit in that setting, like his ability set and stuff like that. Trying to make him move that quick.
I mean, he does a hedgehog anyways.
Like
at the same time,
the villain. If you don't change the villain, then it still doesn't work. And there's a kind of synergy between like the hero and the villain in those games, right?
I mean, could that have been
being foils for each other is kind of like superhero comics, right? You need a good villain to make the superhero interesting, right?
I mean, everything comes out and is made for a reason, but it's almost like what could have been. Could it have been a porcupine? Could it have been a bluebird? Could it have been a rabbit? And not Sonic?
Septic the drain clog, and he's just like going through pipes.
Septic the drain clog.
I gotta say, I gotta disagree with you, Nick, because I think when you go back to these older games,
Mario, you're right.
Characters, Mario could have been anybody. Sonic could have been anything. Rystar could have been anything. Bionic Joe. It's like the mechanic is there, the jump is there, the turning into things is there, but the character itself doesn't really shine through on a lot of those old games. And I think like now today with games like you have, Kratos is like this brooding, hyper angry, nothing is going to stop me persona, or you have, like your Ellie and Joel from The Last of Us. You have these character types that I don't think they're swappable in current games. But when you go back to the 90s, 80s, 70s, I think a lot of those characters, they just kind of fit types, and you can mix and match them, and anything else have been taken the place of a Sonic. I mean, Sonic was fast and edgy, but whatever character you put in, if you make him fast and edgy, that worked. It could have been Bubsy, and he could have been fast and edgy, like a manic cat that just like goes nuts on catnip and just.
Can you say the same thing about Kratos? I mean, you take one grumpy like SOB and put another grumpy SOB in there. It doesn't really matter. He's just an angry guy.
That's it. But that's the character is angry guy. So it doesn't matter if it's Kratos. It doesn't matter if it's Nick who hasn't eaten. It's just angry guy. But the characters.
You just put a pizza at the end of the stage and you make me mad. There you go.
Sonic
I
the
think
real
the characters in modern games have much more to offer. It does, like, you can put different people in there, but you still have the same character types. You still have the same traits. You still have the same, they are driving a storyline. Whereas Sonic was never driving a storyline. Mario was never driving a storyline. He's just advancing the quest.
Indy says there's many games with the character killed off the game. But I would say a game like this would not be the case. I mean, you can't have Catfighter without Assassin Kitty and General Meow. Just saying.
I don't know. I feel like so many of these, like when you're talking about them, the main difference between like a more modern character is because they have the budget to be able to do the dialogue to get you more invested in the character.
Yes.
And they've since done the same thing with all those mascot characters, right? Like you look at Sonic, and Sonic's personality is a big part of that. Robotnik's personality is a big part of those games and why people gravitate to those games. Mario's kind of upbeat personality of, well, I can get it done. Or Luigi's, I'm absolutely terrified of anything, but I'm pushing through it anyway, which is almost even more laudable than Mario's personality is what draws you to that character, right? Luigi's Mansion without Luigi there being terrified the whole time and you having the history of Luigi being Mario's brother and, being the second fiddle.
I think Luigi has some character. I think Mario is
doesn't
absent.
Work.
Yeah. So I think Luigi does have some character, and that really came out in Luigi's Mansion. And
see, I liked it in Mario too. I thought I just thought he was more fun with his little running in the air and his little.
Well, see, and Mario 2 is a good example of them trying to show some character out of those people, because like Toad was really, really strong, but didn't have a whole lot of mobility and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that kind of leads you towards like the Captain Toad treasure tracker kind of thing moving forward, right? Princess Peach is a lot more mobile and floaty because she's got the parasol and stuff like that. They eventually made like a Princess Peach game that had like all the different emotions and stuff like that. I forget what it was called. It was on the DS. It's pretty rare now, but there's stuff like that comes out of that, right? And those personalities got developed in like Mario 2 and Mario 3 and stuff like that, because you could they did more with it to kind of expand on it and kind of make you feel more characters. If you look at the original Super Mario Brothers, it's just a type of platform, right?
Yeah. I don't doubt that they've taken those characters and tried to tap into their personality and kind of eke out what that means for game development in something like Princess Toadstool's game. But I still feel those early games, they're mostly interchangeable because there was so little you could put in. I mean, seeing something like Sonic tap his feet because he was impatient was one way of imbuing him with some sort of personality, because otherwise he just lacked it. I mean, that was always like, Mario had no personality. I mean, on the cartoons he did, but in the games, he's just on his way, going from castle to castle.
Right.
And I think we didn't start to really see that kind of start to come out until the 90s and 2000s with more story-driven,
better technology.
Well, that was kind of the height of the Mascot era in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. Like Spyro and
there you go, Retro
Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, Carl Young's like
Dexter, Ratchet and Clank.
Cool right? Spot.
Those
right
games
there.
Work because of those characters, right? And those are all mascot characters that came out of that.
I heard even movie characters.
And what else could have been the character from Cool Spot? Okay, there you go, because it was the Cool Spot. Yeah, I was waiting on the chat to pipe in and kind of interrupt us and kind of throw in their thoughts, because I'd love to hear what the chat has to say, because we're kind of like me and Rab are kind of a little bit at odds here as far as the way we feel about it. Neither one of them's invalid, just a difference of opinion.
Who could have played like a movie game like E.T.? I just waited all that time just to do that. I did want to mention this for our previous subject. Another one I think Activision really never went back to or really gave much thought after they were released on each system, and I think the PC, It was Dreadnought Factor, another great one, but it kind of just got looked over, I think, a lot in that era. It was 83.
You're looking at me. I missed a lot of stuff from that era, so that was not the era
Papa Pete was playing that just the other day. That was a Tom Lowry
was
game.
he? That's a great game.
I don't know if he played it. He just brought up that it was like one of the last ones that he was developing.
So Amico brought up a question.
Yeah.
Who's the worst video game character in your opinion?
Oh, for me, the worst video game character is Vectron a character, or is he morely a base?
No, that's not a character.
John's like finally got to the out part of In and Out.
Wow, you've been waiting
Congratulations.
this whole time, John. Well, I'm glad we could at least entertain you with some.
It only took an entire podcast to get through the line.
Wow. Well, I hope your food's hot and your potatoes are freshly cut. Worst character.
Must be the lack of personality. The protagonist from Atari Adventure is kind of a square. Boo! Boo!
And then right back to the dungeon without a key.
There's some Evercade collections. I want to say, in my opinion, and just for me, people don't hate me, and especially people across the pond don't hate me for this. Dizzy. I don't get Dizzy. I never grew up with Dizzy, so maybe that's why I'm not nostalgic about it. But I thought he's an egg that does like puzzle solving. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't.
I like puzzle solving games. Dizzy is not my favorite, but
as far as the character, the game, I understand, but like the character made no sense, and he just didn't. I think that's the one, and then the worms from the Worms games.
Worms
you
were
lost
at least kind of cute and interesting as far as the looks and stuff.
Might have been more the gameplay.
I would say maybe Bubsy, because every time
Michael's like I said, don't get mad if you look. A lot of people love Dizzy, man. He's like, I love Dizzy. Unsubscribe. He's like, I'm done with this.
As bricks start flying through your house, justice for Dizzy.
Yeah, I take the rubber band off, read the note. It's like hashtag justice for Dizzy. We love Dizzy too. Yeah, I agree, NLG. Mike, that's Worms. They are an acquired taste.
No, not Commander Keen. He's not
I
the
don't
worst.
remember Commander Keen. I do remember hating Bubsy. Like every time the character opened its mouth, I'm like, no.
I never got into Bubsy. Trying to think of other 16-bit characters.
I feel like if there's going to be a worst character, it is going to be that 16-bit. It's going to be like 1991, 92, 93, that era of like, I'm edgy, I'm hip, I'm obnoxious, I'm like, a pain to everybody, and I'm going to have a lot of like bad humor. Like Duke Nukem, but Duke Nukem was trying to be ironic.
What's Tingle?
Duke Nukem I liked, but he's definitely a product of the era, right? Like they tried to modernize Duke, and it just you don't modernize Duke's personality. It's like the whole reason for the character, but it
he's going to be stuck there too.
So you have to modernize it, and it just makes it worse.
Tingle was a little elf character from
Tingle.
Wind Waker. Okay.
Wind Waker.
So anyway, speaking of Wind Waker, or not speaking of that at all, I'm going to close out our chat poll.
Game, which was truly terrifying.
So we're going to get our chat poll results. Everybody do the drum roll. I'm kidding.
Amused. Prince Meyer in Deadly Towers is not lame. He's my hero.
Oh, it's Dreamcast. It's Dreamcast by a landslide. It is Dreamcast by a landslide. 58%. Saturn coming in second. 28%. Sega CD with a 10%. And whoever put TurboGrafx CD is better, that was me. Only 2%. 78 votes with Dreamcast with the landslide. That's awesome. That's great Sega system. It really was.
I came in late, so I missed our poll, and I can't see it on the.
It was out of the Sega systems, what was the best CD Sega system? The original Sega CD, the Saturn, or the Dreamcast? And then I threw in the TurboGrafx thing because I had to have 4. But yeah, no, I was like, it's going to be Saturn or Dreamcast. I'm figuring with this crowd, and it was definitely.
I'm not really. The Dreamcast was a lot more prevalent, and therefore a lot more popular. Saturn. Everybody knows the story of Saturn at this point. If not, go to my channel. Because they just sort of.
Here's Johnny said it's rigged. Rigged. Another rigged poll.
Revote.
So what do you got coming up on either Geeks with Cash or the Geek Storian.
Geeks with Cash, I have no idea what I'm doing with that channel, so it's doing nothing. I had 2 videos drop this week. I had one on the analog stick, which was a follow-up to the D-pad episode I did last week for Moments in Gaming History, because they're both kind of like key moments where everything was kind of shifting in gaming, and they were kind of like at the focal point of design choices and those things. So I thought they were kind of like really interesting topics to kind of cover from that perspective. And this week, thanks to PJ Smith, another shout out to him, I covered the Atari Music Visualizer. I didn't even know it was a thing until he mentioned it. And I'm like, what in the heck is this thing?
Oh, Dirk.
I like Dirk. Oh my God.
I picked up 2 of those, not the Atari Visualizer, but 2 from other companies from the early 70s when they were like looking into doing that for a video. So
personality was
it's a cool little device, man. And it's one of those things where I'm like, dude, every time
Troy.
But you have to
every time I think I come out of the 70s and I keep thinking this is something that my generation really did. The 70s comes back and like clocks me upside the head and goes, nope, we did this back then.
You got to remember,
Troy
though,
Peterson, thank you.
Before Odyssey, like they didn't know what to. You had TV, and then they're like, "Oh, you can interact with the TV. What can you do?" Like, no one was thinking music videos. No one was thinking visualizers. No one was thinking, cable. No one was thinking video games. You had this like explosion of interaction with the TV and all of these different mediums.
No, it was really cool.
Looking at weird ways to do it.
And the other thing I'm working on is I did finally start doing voiceover work and getting some footage together for the evolution of fighting games. That oh my God, that script. Oh my God. Oh, holy crap. That's another one where I go, oh no, I know exactly where this came from. And then I start digging and everything's just fuzzy logic from people having random opinions, because I don't think anybody's actually really documented this the way I'm trying to do it before. So everybody's saying one thing, and then I'll find something that completely contradicts it, like later, that's like earlier, and I'm just going, oh God, let it end.
Yeah.
So I think I'm as close to right as I'm going to get. So it's
the process recorded. Of research. When you feel you're like 90% done, just don't look anymore. Just like fill in your holes with uhs and
honestly,
ums. Don't even try.
I was looking at like games, like the first one that introduced weapons, and I'm like, first thing that came up was Soul Calibur. I'm like, no, Time Killers was before that. And then I found this weird computer game called like Barbarian, the Warrior or something. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. It just had 2 barbarians with swords that looked like Conan beating the crap out of each other. And I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah, I was going to say some beat 'em up games.
Is that the one where they like?
I'm talking about fighting games specifically, though.
I remember that one. I remember that.
I was talking about really the fighting game genre specifically, not beat 'em ups. Because I'm not putting beat 'em ups into this, because that's just what now. Just that too big a scope.
Riot Zone for Turbo Duo. It's probably one of my favorites. It was a ripoff of most Streets of Rage style games, but it was still good. By the way, I want to thank Troy. I went up there, the super sticker. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you coming to the chat. Thank you so much. That was very nice of you. And thanks for watching. So yeah, you guys, while you're waiting for Nick's final masterpiece, he's got a lot of stuff on Geek Story and to binge. Like, what was the recent one you did? Was it the Atari accessory?
Oh,
or was it?
I mean, I did.
Had a weird name. It had a weird name and a logo. I just watched it, and my brain doesn't work right now. I can't remember.
Are you talking about the Mind Link?
Not the Mind Link. It must have been something you did earlier, but I just now caught it, and I don't remember now what it was.
Can you describe it other than a weird logo?
Like a Weezer, or not Weezer, like a. Now I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up now, because I am not going to let this go.
I'm trying to think of like my Atari stuff, because there's a lot of it.
I'm guessing it was Atari, though. But it was, dude, it literally just came up in my feed.
Beam, are you?
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
That's not Atari.
What was that? What was that for?
It was Dreamcast and PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an
emulator. It
just
came up in my thing, and I can't. But I watched a bunch. I was trying to binge.
PlayStation emulator is what it was.
A PlayStation emulator.
Yeah.
Okay, I mixed it up with the Neuralink, I think. Anyways, there's lots of stuff
I'll drop my link in the private chat. You can throw it up.
Yeah.
If you want, so people can find it. I think most people in the chat have already know where this channel is. If not, there it is.
Yeah,
You can
you
throw it
guys
over
gotta
something
check
like
it.
that.
He's
I
got like
normally do 2 videos a
gaming
week.
oddities is
Try to
really
get
cool.
more videos in when I can. That's kind of dried up because I have to write a bunch of this stuff, and some of the stuff I'm writing now is very
There,
time
I just dropped
consuming
one.
and hard for me to research with my limited time because I have work and dog and wife and all this other stuff. So it kind of has to get fit in when I can. So it's kind of one of those things. But I'm trying to get. Those are usually the bigger videos that take forever, or like my Friday ones that I drop, and those take a lot more research, and I put a lot more effort into the editing and things like that. So they're fun to do, but this last one, I'll be glad to move away from the evolution.
Maybe a beast, but it shows.
Do what?
I think maybe a beast to do, but the work shows.
Oh, they're a lot of fun. Like the fighting game one, I learned a ton of stuff doing this one. There were games I didn't even know existed that did things
There's a lot of stuff
way
on
before where I thought they came in. And I'm just like, wow, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't even know this one was a thing. Where did this show up? Like just random stuff coming up where
there's a lot of crazy games on the Sega that's been coming that I've been introduced to now, going back to collect for stuff like that. And some of them are really cheesy, some of them are super good. It's just like the same thing with shooters. You're going to have that same kind of thing. You're going to have like amazing ones that come out with like something that you've never seen before, and then you have copies. Just same with the fighting games, same with the beat 'em ups. Especially, oh my God, the fighting games in the 90s, like you said, there's like so many.
Well, and the thing is,
they're copying
Mortal
Kombat and Street Fighter.
Right now we're in the middle of renaissance of 2 genres of games that I love, which one is beat 'em ups, and the other one is fighters. Like all these old fighters are coming back out of the woodworks almost, right? You're seeing like you saw a new Samurai Showdown in like 2019. You got
Street Revenge.
You got Street Fighter coming back hard. You've got the Injustice series and the Mortal Kombat series kind of running in tandem. Then you got stuff like Skull Girls and them fighting herds and all these indie fighters and stuff that are high quality stuff, like super high bar level stuff done by small teams, right? Another good example, one that plays amazing but is a little rough graphically, is Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. That thing has a really amazing combo system to work with where you can literally just take almost any move and work it into anything. It's not set, which is just brilliant. And that's done by a super small team.
I think like that's the next wave, like after platformer burnout for all these smaller indie developers. These beat 'em ups have a formula that can be done by a small enough team. I think there's a lot of renewed interest in bringing some of those games back.
Thank you, by the way, Amused.
Yeah. And Rab, you got anything? I know you're working on a lot of stuff, but I always got to ask.
It's not a lot of it's one large stuff, but I just keep working on it. So nothing new. I keep debating, should I put out something small just to put out so that people don't have to keep asking, like, are you working on something?
Dude, I say do whatever you're comfortable with. I went into this new channel format deliberately designing it so I could do some stuff that I would find fun, that I could do like more easily, and then spend time on these other longer projects. That way I didn't feel like it was kind of just like, barren all the time, but I'm still putting out something what I feel is decent quality, right? Yeah. So I went into it for the mentality, but if you don't want to do that mentality and you want to do the one big video, I say do the one big video.
I have to say I'm enjoying it. And it's not the one big video. I mean, this is a series now. I've got at least 12 to 15 videos that I have the outlines for. I've got 7 of those have a full script and are well in the process of edit. So, I don't want to put out one and then wait 3 months to put out the next one. So I'm trying to get 2 of them done so that they can go out like 1 month after another. But I'm enjoying it. I know they say like, there's a lot of stuff that's formulaic about doing a YouTube channel, but ultimately YouTube is anyone that wants to put out stuff. This is the perfect format to, speak your mind, put out stuff. You want to build things, you want to research, you want to talk about things, you want to join a conversation. It's a great medium to go into to do that. Yeah. So I've been enjoying like researching and, I have a very broad story that I want to tell that spans over a century of gaming, and there's not a whole lot of stories that kind of go that deep. And this is one that doesn't have much covered on it, so it's a lot of new ground. So it's enjoyable.
Well, very good. And,
eventually, I'll have something to put out. Until then, I'll tell you next week again. It's moving along.
Roger,
it's like any big video. Those things take forever. I've been working on this one that I'm trying to just now start for probably over a month, off and on. Just trying to do various different research and make sure it's as correct as I can get it. Right. I'm sure somebody's going to poke holes on it as soon as it comes out, but
nothing's ever perfect.
That's every video I put out.
But you put it out, and it continues the conversation.
Yeah, and that's fine. If I'm wrong on something, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I still learned something from it. I learned something from making the video and doing the research, and I learned something from the audience that came in and gave me some new information. So it's all a learning process, right? Which is cool. That's partly why I'm doing it. Sorry, Chuck.
No, it's okay. I was going to say before we go, I have a 3DO Thursdays coming up, and guess who's the special guest? Myself. I have myself on as a guest with me.
What?
How does that work?
Nobody wants to interview you, interviewing you.
Oh, there's 3 different me's, and they're
all section.
And guess what, though?
I want to see you as a 3D object, or like.
So I'm going to be live in the chat too. So I'll be live in the chat watching both versions of me. But will I be live and then be in the video while I'm live, but pre-recorded? Guess you'll have to tune in to 3DO Thursdays tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Chuckception. But yeah, we're doing Road Rash for 3DO. I played through some game. There's a lot of audio I had to cut out or turn off because it's all Soundgarden and Monster Magnet, and I would just get copyright stricken a million times. So yeah, so that other than that, it's pretty fun, and just to see how they did it on that version. To me, I still think it's the ultimate one. Y'all should do a rap battle.
I've been telling Nick.
Nick would destroy us all, though. He's got the best rhymes, man. And but anyways, yeah. 3D.
I still have to carve out some of Rab's milliseconds of time to start that. Notable people in gaming history.
No,
you got it this
weekend. I still haven't forgotten about that. It's just
we'll touch base. We'll touch base this weekend. We've been saying that for a couple of weeks, so let's.
Yeah, we keep saying it, and then we never keep approaching. I gotta write down a couple of ideas. So because there's one that's a no-brainer that drawing a blank on his name right now, but the guy that made the cart for the Fairchild Channel F.
Jerry Lawson. No,
Jerry Lawson.
He didn't do the cart.
That's like freaking easy. Easy level stuff, right?
Yeah. I'm forgetting the guy's name who actually did the cart. I think it was,
there were a couple. There were like 2 or 3 people involved in that. I can't remember their names right off.
Yeah, the soundtrack for the menus, exactly. That's
Jerry oversaw it all. So he was like super product manager, getting it all done.
Yeah.
You know what? You know who worked on? I believe John Alvarado worked on Demolition Man for 3DO. Didn't you do something with that, John? I'd love to have you on to talk about that at some time in the future. Even if it's like something we could do pre-recorded when you do have the time. I know you're a busy man, but that'd be because I just love digging into this 3DO stuff, and I'd like to talk to some devs or people that worked on any of those games. But I know you. I think we had a conversation about Demolition Man and Sylvester Stallone, so I definitely got to hear about that.
If you're at an In and Out and the line is really long, just give Chuck a call. You can do an impromptu interview.
There's the waiting list. You can get on the list. It's really crazy.
Get on the list, and then you're
I knew it. Demolition. That's awesome, dude. That was one of the ones I had growing up. And it was cool because you had like a shooting level.
Chuck's like, I'm sorry, I can't do next week. I got myself booked.
Yeah, myself's booked this week. Maybe next week. No, but like there was a shooting level. There was like a fighting level where there's fire, and it's him and Simon Phoenix. And he kept going, Simon Says Please. And he's like punching them. It's like so awesome. And then there's a part where you actually see Sylvester Stallone. And he's like running and walking through stuff with his gun, and it was really kind of revolutionary. Yeah, there's a driving level.
You know what I heard? That the part where Wesley Snipes ended up playing was originally written for Jackie Chan.
Oh, no kidding.
And I can't even imagine Jackie Chan in that role now because Wesley Snipes Leaned into that so hard.
Yeah, that was like an iconic. Besides Blade, that was to me that was an iconic. Another talk about a game and a movie that I'm surprised they never did sequels to, because I really thought that was a very unique. Let's all go to Taco Bell, the only restaurant left. Yeah. And the 3 seashells. We'll never know what that meant now because there was never a sequel. I mean, did they scrape? Did they wipe? Did they suck?
I think it was intentionally. My understanding is it was intentionally left super vague, and they didn't even know what they did. They just made a joke out of it and decided to run with it because they're like, we don't really know what they did.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of 3 seashells, and Sally sells them by the seashore, we will see you next week because this is Amico forever. Thank you.
Heard something about that. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Night, everybody.